Hello, everyone, and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and welcome to the final episode of our powered flight aircraft, the Airbus A310. Long awaited by me, and I'm sure by many of you as well. We're going to be giving this the normal sample treatment. We're going to take a look at textures. We're going to take a look at sounds, take a listen to sounds, I should say. Get the aircraft started up, do a pattern here at Frankfurt Main Airport, and close it out from there. I'm very excited to share this aircraft with you. So without further ado, let's give it a go. Now, I do want to apologize in advance. This is my third time, I think, attempting to record this. I've been having microphone issues. So at some point, I might just give up on my nice mic and switch to my garbage mic. There's some filters that I have to turn off there. But let's look at textures first and foremost. Obviously, we've got this glorious world travel livery. Those of you old flight simmers will remember the Flight Sim fictitious world travel aircraft livery. And it's looking good. I think the standout thing for me for this aircraft is the detail on the text textures. That's one of my always go-to complaints for aircraft, is the textures on warning text look kind of muddied, kind of muddy, and I struggle to find a single one on this aircraft that doesn't. There's a couple, but for the most part, they're golden. I love it. I love that part of it. Overall, I mean, the aircraft looks good. This is the I&I Builds A310, purchased by Asobo and brought to us for free in Microsoft. So this was planned to be a payware aircraft. It is study level. Very deep systems as far as the FMS and that sort of thing goes. You can plan out a proper flight, imports and briefs and all that sort of stuff. We'll take a look at that later. Looking at the nose gear. All in all, I think textures are adequate. You know, from any reasonable distance, they look good. Get a little bit close, things get grainy. Zoom in too much, they get grainy. I want to touch real quick on that clattering that we're hearing. That is our engines. And for those of you who don't know, jet engines actually have a certain amount of tolerance allowed in them for both centrifugal and thermal expansion. So when this engine is spun up to speed, obviously the centrifugal forces push everything outward and lock them into place, as well as in the hot section of the engine. Things will also experience a similar centrifugal force, but they'll also be expanding because of the heat that they're enduring. So they're designed with a certain level of tolerance once they're cold and shut down and not spinning fast. And that's that clanking that you're hearing right now. Very, very cool to hear that modeled on an aircraft in Flight Sim. It's not the first, but it is cool nonetheless. You can see we've got these big, huge, what I'm assuming are heat exchangers on the underside of the aircraft. We do not pass the patented sample test, unfortunately. There is a little bit of detail on the back side of the bypass fan when you look through it, but basically you've got a first stage compressor that you might just be able to see behind those blades as they rotate, and that's about it. So, but it is what it is. We will pass through here, take a look. So I think this is supposed to be a supported. It almost looks like a stator section for the bypass fan, but not perfect. Obviously, you've got those reverses. Okay, so there's a stator section, and then you've got supports there, although it's not connected. It should be. And then one above us as well. If you move back to the hot section of the engine, you've got really nice stator section for the turbine. That's about it. I do vaguely remember on some A310s I've seen it's either an EPR or a EGT probe that sticks out in the airstream here, and I'm not seeing that, but I'm not going to take off points for that. And then obviously got your big exhaust cone on the back. So, let's take a look at the mains while we're here. Nothing too great to write home about for the mains. The textures do fall apart a little bit on the wheel section as well as the tires. So you've got these Goodyear, what are these? Flight Eagles, I think. And then on the actual brake fan assembly here, that's some pretty low texture stuff. There's supposed to be markings in that, but then you've got some good quality stuff for the lugs and what I'm assuming is the Schrader valve for the air pressure. One area that is good on the mains is the brakes. Not super high quality, but I do like the fidelity separation of the brakes versus the pistons. When the aircraft wheels are turning, that brake disc actually turns separate, so that's pretty cool. We don't have a lot to report in terms of the main landing gear doors, or the main landing gear bays. They're pretty bare bones, which they kind of would have been on this aircraft anyways. If I go up into our well here, you can see we've got a secondary door that closes or opens once these swing in. And that's about it. It's identical on the other side, so not a whole lot to write home about. I think there would have been a little bit more in terms of hydraulic lines, air lines, you name it, running through here, but that's alright. You're not looking in gear bays too often. Coming around back to the front end of the leading edge, you can see a little bit of texture degradation on that leading edge. I think that's supposed to be a metallized leading edge. But again, nothing terrible. Decent-ish detail. It's an interesting pattern, actually, that you'll see in terms of weathering. Some parts of the aircraft are really weathered. So like you can see all of this kind of lower poly crazing on the light assembly here. But if I swing back over to our windscreen, which does model fully on the inside your cockpit, so if I turn on my controls and I wiggle the yoke around, you can see that there. And I think it's the same deal with the altimeter, which you can't even see from... No, the altimeter is just set to 0, so it's not perfect. But anyway, my point being, the windows look almost factory new compared to if I swing around to the wiper blade here. You know, there's tons of really good weathering effect on there. Lower poly, but nonetheless good weathering effect. So there's a little bit of that going on the aircraft. I do like the detail on the static wicks, both on the horizontal and vertical stabilizer towards the top. There's really good rivet detail on the tail section of the aircraft as well. And then we'll pop inside, take a look at the newly added cabin of the aircraft as well. Free add-on that was released by the developers. We'll take a look at that after we get some power onto the aircraft, because there's some stuff in there that I want to showcase that we need power on for. Alright, and here we're in the cockpit. We'll do a quick overview of the cockpit, cold and dark. And then I want to talk about one issue that I have actually had with this aircraft since new, and it still persists to this day, but we'll take a low frame rate look around the inside here. Frankfurt is not friendly to frame rates, but that's okay. I wanted to pay some homage to where this aircraft is. So anyway, here we are at our EFB for this aircraft. And you have some presets for the aircraft as to how it can be set. So I'm going to be using the APU preset. And the gripe that I have is, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I can set this as default as many times as I want, and it will not stick. I've tried it with the aircraft already in the APU mode. I've tried it cold and dark like we are now, because cold and dark is how the aircraft was delivered to me, but it will not stay. So we're going to go ahead and activate it now. Oh, she's loud. And you might notice right now there's a whole bunch of noise in our right ear. If I swing the camera to the right. How about that? Now all the noise is on our left ear. So that's pretty cool. You can see our displays have spun to life. We'll get some external or internal lighting. Internal and external lighting going, actually. Leave the map light off for now. And get our pedestal and overhead backlighting going. And we'll turn on our nav lights. Turn on our engine trims. I think I can do pitch trims now. Nope. Can I do yaw dampener? Yeah, okay. And we'll turn on our aft galley, and then we're going to turn on our low pressure air supply. That'll be all we'll do for now. Actually, I lied. I'm going to set the IRS to align as as well, because that's going to take some time to do. Can I go to knit? I'm waiting for a line IRS to show up there. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm not sure. We'll give it a little bit of time. But anyway, another glance across the cockpit with everything lit up now. You can see we've got those old cathode ray tube PFD and MFDs, and then a standby PFD. Two nice twin cathode ray tube displays for our lowers. The right-hand side one can be toggled for a whole bunch of different things. And the left one we can do a systems check on. In addition to that, we have a working weather radar, which is very cool. It's obviously not going to show up right now because I'm still aligning, but the weather radar in this aircraft is implemented. It works. It's great. I love it. Let me set it to test mode just to prove I'm not fully lying through my teeth. Nope, it doesn't even work in test mode while it's aligning. So we'll shut that off so we don't cook people on the floor, on the ground. And we'll head back outside. Take a quick look at some of the external lighting on the aircraft. Obviously we've got nav lights on now. I'll toggle our landings on. Those you can see swinging down underneath the wings there, and they'll turn on once they're fully extended. Maybe. You know, maybe they're just thinking about it. It's, you know, it's holiday drug season. Let's see here. So land on. Why aren't you... There we go. I guess I have to have the taxi lights in the same position. So there's our landing lights. Very nice, very bright. Really cool strobe setup on this aircraft. If I turn our strobe lights on, you can see I've got the forward flash, and then I also have a flash in the rear, which is pretty cool, and then there's also a flash on the tail. So if you like strobe lights, this is the aircraft for you. I thought there was one on the tail. Maybe I was wrong. Looks like there's one on the tail. Oh, maybe there's not. I don't know. I guess you don't really need one on the tail if you get twin aft facing strobes. This aircraft also has, I'm sorry for the low frame rate, this aircraft also has rear facing, or go over to this side of the airplane, give it a little bit of a frame rate break. Rear facing nav lights, those have been turned down. There's a truck in my way. But those have been turned down for SimSec. They were really, really bright when this aircraft first dropped, but it looks like they brought them down. Moving on from there, you can see we're in our one of our cabin seats here. And I've got some pretty cool... How do I... This one. Yeah, this one. You go into the cockpit or into the cabin. Ah, it's so quiet. So you can see... Yeah, so I'm definitely inside of the airplane here. I'm not sure what it's on about. I guess. Okay. Well, we'll do it here. We'll do it from here. It's fine. So we've got some nice in-flight infotainment. This is actually a third-party mod. It does not normally play videos like this, but it does have a static image. Addition to that, the color lighting that I have here, this purple, would just be like, think of like your Phoenix A320, plain Jane white. But one thing that is cool that I want to show you guys is the no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs correlate to what you have set in the cockpit. So that's very cool. And it does that throughout the entire cabin. So you can have your no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs on or off, and you can know that your virtual passengers in the back have that same luxury. So we're going to go ahead and do a engine start We'll do a quick fly around. We might have to go somewhere else for frame rate reasons, but we'll give it a try here first. And I think we'll close it out there. I'm not going to go really into the EFB. It's very good. Not the EFB, the FMS. It's a very good FMS. It's similar to the Phoenix A320. So if you know about setting up the FMS and the Phoenix A320, which watch my video on it if you don't, then it's pretty much the same. There is a engine management thing that you're going to have to either set to automatic or your various phases of flight. But other than that, it's about the same. You set your altitude, your speed to hold, and set level change and nav, and the airplane's good to fly. So I'm going to go ahead and let the IRS finish aligning, and then we will go ahead for an engine start. Okay, going for the engine start now, and just to prove I'm not fibbing about that whole auto thing, or the default thing, I'm in the load menu, as you can see here. We're going to go ahead and click ready to fly, and the aircraft will be cold and dark. Ready? Yep. Yeah. So that's fine. We're going to go over to here. What is going on with the ground? We'll ignore that. That's the sim. Where is this one? So we'll go on APU. Activate. So I get to set up my FMS again. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. You guys watched me do it once already. Actually, maybe you didn't, because I might just... yeah, I'm just going to cut that whole thing. Post-editing me, cut that whole thing, and then we'll just do it from here. Plus, this gives you a better look at the night lighting, guys. Look at that, huh? Look at the night lighting. It's actually not nighttime where I'm at now, but we'll do a quick sweep around with the night lighting. Oh, look at that. Looks good, don't it? Take a look from the outside here. We got this really nice American Airlines livery. It's supposed to be chrome. It doesn't really look like it, though. That's okay. I realize there's no external lights on the aircraft. So we'll go that one, beacon on, and that one. I'll turn on those as well. So you can take in some of the night lighting. So yeah, we'll do a quick FMS setup here. First thing you need to do is set your IRS to align. So those three switches there. We got power on, so we'll go ahead and turn on the galley. Yaw damper can come on. We're gonna worry about the pitch trims in a second. While we're here, we'll do our fuel and low pressure air. Turn that up so we can see what we're doing. Put those down so we can see what we're doing. Actually, I am going to set real-time live weather. Because why wouldn't you? Okay, in the FMS here, obviously we've got this message saying to align the IRS. We're going to go to the init page. We're going to do this lightning fast because it's very similar to my video for setting up the FMS in the Phoenix A320. So if you've seen that before, then this should be relatively similar for you. So on our edit page, we've got our departure airport, Kahului in Hawaii, and we're going to Honolulu International, which is PH&L. Throw that in there. And we'll do a cost index of 193, I guess. Cruise flight level is going to be 12,000. 12,000 even. Need that extra 100 feet. Flight ID is going to be American Airlines 2623. And next page, I want to block 3.2 for my fuel. And then we can actually come over to our EFB here and set our passengers 151. Post some cargo, throw in some fuel, apply, and our zero fuel weight is going to be 213.3. and it automatically calculates our takeoff. I think that's gross weight. And our landing weight, zero fuel weight CG, is going to be 26.6. We'll go to our flight plan, do a departure, and we're going to be taking the Maui 5 out of runway 02. Insert. And I'm going to clear that vector out right away. And then we're going to be landing in Honolulu on the Inouye 1 approach on ILS 08 left. And I don't want a there we go. Clear you. Check the rest for discontinuities. Looks like we're good. So that's our flight plan set. I'm going to go ahead and start in the gate here because from what I can tell, there's not a way to bring up the autopilot or your engine parameters unless the engine's running. So we're going to go ahead and start in the gate, get all of that stuff set in the autopilot, and then we'll go ahead and use the built-in, I guess, yeah, we'll use the built-in pushback now. We'll showcase that. Obviously, I am running GSX, as you can tell by the, well, maybe you can't. Well, I was going to say the ground equipment, but I realized I've got no traffic spawned in, but we're running GSX in the background. There's the shiny metal. Look at that, huh? There you go. Said to be daytime. So we will prepare for pushback, bring in the pushy guy. And that's going to bring the GSX tugging. And then for engine start, we'll go park brake off. Got our fuel on, we'll turn on our probe heat and our window heat. In opposite order, window, probes. And then for starting, we've got our crank options. There's Circuit A and Circuit B. We're going to do A first and foremost. Take a listen to it from the outside, and then we will take a listen from the inside when we start engine 2. So starting engine A, you'll hear our axe automatically shut. And we'll start, and we'll head outside. And I will pop back in, introduce fuel. Oh, we're moving in the IRS is aligning. Huh. Oh, I never told the IRS to align. That's fine. That's fine. No, we're good. We're good. I never told it to. There's 25. That's what happens when you rush. Don't rush in flying. It's all bad. Let's get start on 1. Have the tug swing us. Nope, other way, I think. Wait, 02 we're taking off from, so nope, you had it right the first time. Sorry. And we'll go start up on engine 2. We might just have them stop here. Wind is blowing that direction. Oh no, there's 2. We're gonna do a headwind takeoff because we're not smart. There's 20%. 3, 24, 25. Fuel's on. Alright, waiting for that second engine to start. Generator just clicked over, so I'm going to go back to ignition off. Packs will come back on. And then I'm going to go back to the init page and tell the airplane to align the IRS since we're stationary. That's going to take a little bit to do. So we'll fast forward through that. We'll get our... What's your problem pitch trim 1 and 2? It's because I don't have an altitude locked in here? 250 on the climb out. Nav and flight level change. Okay, how about now? Alright, well, I gotta work on that. Maybe it has to do with the IRS. Nonetheless, I will continue to sit here for a little bit and, wait for the IRS to align, get the pitch trim set in place, and catch back up with you guys then. Okay, and one short alignment of the IRS later, that did rectify our pitch trim situation. I've got our autopilot, for the most part here, all set. And we'll go ahead and taxi out here. I do want to point out, if you're using a switch set like I have, you are going to need either 3-position switches or something like that for a lot of your switches on here. So obviously the strobe light is a 3-position, landing lights are a 3-position, taxi lights a 3-position, so my little 2-position switch, well, I guess it technically is a 3-position. It's down, spring to center, and then up, but it doesn't work. And it's the same thing for the wing lights. It just doesn't work. So you're going to have to work around those, unfortunately, if you have those bound. It's not a huge deal, though. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, I don't understand why there are twin EFBs, because they're tied to each other. So if I scroll up on mine to before takeoff, you can see it's the same thing there. And if I scroll to the very top of the checklist, it is the same thing to mine here. I like the idea of dual EFBs, like the Phoenix A320 has a dual EFB, but they're independent of each other. And I think if you're going to do that, you should make them independent. Right now, it doesn't bother me too much because the flight sim only does, you can do it with a lot of mods, but for the most part, you're doing single pilot flights. You can't have a real friend somewhere else fly in your airplane with you. So I would almost just do away, I guess, INI or I guess Asobo now, with that second EFB entirely, especially if it's just going to be a mirror image of what's over here. We are gently underway here now. I'm going to throttle up just a little bit and then let you guys take a listen to the flap sounds. And I want you to really, really listen. I'm going to shut up when I do it. There's a distinct difference in the whine from the leading edge flaps that come down to the trailing edge flaps as they lower. And I want you to take a listen to that. So here we go. And we'll go back up. Very cool. Primarily out of the right ear. Now out of the left. And you don't really hear it when you're facing straight ahead, which is interesting. I suppose it kind of would be that way, sort of. We are doing a direct tailwind takeoff today. That's fine. We'll be fine. Modeled wind visors, sunshades is the word I'm looking for. At least in the front. I can't find anything for the sides. I would assume this aircraft had one because there's hooks for them. I can't seem to find anything for them. I looked kind of down here on like the default PMDG 737. You have the option for either the pull-up shades or the sliders over here. But it doesn't seem to have any other than these, which this is still better than nothing a lot of the other aircraft came with. The real icing on the cake for this airplane, though, is the weather radar. It has a functioning weather radar, and I'm very happy to see that. So there's the test screen there, and if I go one over, that should be our radar. I don't think we're going to pick up much. There's really not anything in the realm of preset, but if I do a quick live weather change here and I go to... that one's got... Nope, it doesn't. Okay. Well, where am I? Storm. Yeah, storm. Let's do Global severe thunderstorm. There you go. So now you can see the weather radar painting big ol' thunderstorm up ahead. In addition to that, I have semi-working windshield wipers. So it's kind of the same effect that they did with the Phoenix, where you just kind of get that texture, but I think that's a lot cooler than nothing, where you just have the wipers going over seemingly nothing. So I am very happy with that. Let's go back to live weather. Now the ground's a little wet. I've completely missed our turnoff. We'll turn off right here. That's what I get for talking. Quick altimeter check. Still 2970. And frame rate's looking much happier than when we were in Paris. Well, I guess it technically was in Paris, but you know what I mean. Another thing I like about this airplane is, unless it's really, really heavy, for the most part, it'll taxi under the slightest input of forward thrust. In fact, if it's really, really light, it'll actually just taxi under idle power with the throttles back in their detent. So you don't have to have a whole lot of power to get this thing, or keep this thing rolling. It takes a little bit if it's heavy under initial, but once it's rolling, it likes to keep rolling. Taking a look outside at all of our external lighting that's now on. Quick throttle up of the engines, we'll take a listen. Very good sounding. You can also hear the APU as well as the those heat exchangers down below. Forgive me, I don't know exactly what function they serve. I never programmed my V-speeds. I did that before when we were in Frankfurt. Why did I confuse Frankfurt as being in France? Anyway, I'm American. What do you want from me? So you do have the option to program your V-speeds if you wanted to. There's a whole bunch of information you can plug in, and then it'll calculate your flex to temp, V1 rotation, and V2 speeds. I don't have patience for that, so we're going to do 136 for V1, 144 for rotation, because we're pretty late today. So, all right, on the threshold, we're going to do a stand brake takeoff here. Why are my engines shutting down? I accidentally toggled my switch to shut them down. We'll restart here. Back in a second. But what I was mentioning earlier there, I have a binding for my mixture on the aircraft. And I accidentally toggled that, which most other aircraft ignore it. Jet aircraft at least ignore it. It seems as though this aircraft does not, so we'll have to kind of keep that in mind for our flight. So it looks like we're going to make a sharp turn out here immediately off of the threshold to the west, I would assume. And we'll see if the old A310 can do it. Standing on the brakes, running up the motors. Climb detent, park brake off. Full power. Brakes off. What are you doing, engines? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Okay, F4 it is. F4. When in doubt. Oh boy, this tailwind is... Oh, look at the airspeed indicator. We're not hitting 136. We're barely hitting 100. And maybe taking off against the wind or with the wind was a bad idea. Let's try it. Didn't even strike the tail. The Airbus A310. Bird strike. Immediate bird strike. Activate Captain Sullenberger mode. Yeah, look at the reflection. That's really nice. That reflection of the water off of the fuselage there. Well, the not so gentle takeoff and pending bird strike aside, I think that was a relatively successful takeoff. Here. Autopilot on, auto throttle engaged. Alright, we're in our climb phase, so I'm going to shut off the APU bleeds. Let the APU cool down for a little bit, and as we climb to 250 and 12,000 feet. We did just do it, but we'll take another look outside yet. Shut off our taxi light as well as our wing light. It's pretty nice and warm out. Do like the modeled interior. That's very nice on this airplane. It's a detail a lot of aircraft forego, and I think it makes a whirlwind of difference, especially at night. And sounds all lit up. Let's make it nighttime real quick. I mean, that makes that, to me, that's a night and day difference. Look at that. So. Bring in that final notch of leading edge flaps. You see them retracting there now. Shortly we'll be above 10K. We can bring in the landing lights. I do really love the weathering on this airplane. A lot of A310s, if you talk to anyone who was around them back when they were regularly being used, you know, they'll attest to the condition that they were in, to say the least. Working cockpit door, that's also pretty cool. Something foregone on a lot of aircraft at the trade-off of a non-existing jump seat. As far as I can tell, all of the aft controls here do not work, which is fine. I don't really expect them to, but it's okay. Oh, I thought this whole time I just wasn't clicking around. Flight Sim is... Oh, no, it's not. I was going to say Flight Sim's critically frozen. Yeah. So it looks like no working circuit breakers and that sort of thing. So it's not full... I wouldn't stack this up against like the Phoenix or anything like that. All in all, it is a nice aircraft, a nice place to be. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Sometimes the checklist gets stuck, like it is now. And I don't know how to fix that. Turn it off. Turn it back on. My IT knowledge exhausted, so. But it's still a good EFB. It's nice to see airplanes launching with an EFB. EMDG. So. Alright, landing lights off and retract. Funny enough, so on the Airbus, the, yes, I realized this whole time I was flying with the ignition still on. I had an engine failure on attempted takeoff. Sue me. Anyway, on the A310, the actual off detent is extended off, whereas on like the A320, the off detent. Oh, is that also extended but off? No, because you can. I don't remember, but if I lower this landing light now, it will quite literally extend like I just described it. So you can see we've got our left hand landing leg extended, right hand retracted. And then if I retract, see the landing light goes back up into the fuselage. Ignition's looking good. Where's my pressure gauge? Diff pressure's fine. Cabin altitude's fine. Cool. So we're just gonna keep cruising over to Honolulu. It's about a 30-minute flight for me. But I'll catch up with you guys once we are back on approach. Alrighty, we are on our final leg of the approach there. That's going to be our arrival runway 08 left. We're on a pretty short line along here. We're going to do a hard right-hand turn over Jivet to Cozy's at 3,500. Slow to 176 knots. Once we complete that turn, we're going to go ahead and drop our gear and finish configuring the aircraft down to land. We're going to do a manual landing. This aircraft is ILS capable, not Cat 3. It was, I think, slightly before its time, but why not do a hand landing? We're here to talk about the flight handling characteristics of the aircraft. APU is on, set to go, seatbelt sign is on, so we're all configured and ready to land. And I will catch up with you guys once we make that right-hand turn over Jivet to Cozy's and maybe get past Victory, or however it's pronounced. Alrighty, we're coming up on Fig Tree now. I've got visual of our runway. We're going to let the aircraft turn us back onto final. And then I think we will take over from there. Coming down to 2,200 now, and then our spot after that's going to be 08 left. So there's a little birdie. Go ahead and shut off the wipers as we're oh boy, aircraft's almost stalling itself. What you doing there, bud? We are full landing configuration, flaps down, speed brakes armed. We'll be ready on the reversers as well. This airplane's having a hard time getting everything nicely lined up. I think we could have done better ourselves. But I did give it a pretty difficult approach to shoot. That's a pretty steep angle for it to compensate for. 08 left. Off the nose. Let it come back, get us stabilized here. It's really overcorrecting though. You should be coming back left about 30 seconds ago. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and shut off the autopilot. I know, I turned it off. I know, I turned it off. Seems as though my auto throttle switch is not working either. So that's fun. Well, tell me this isn't the most unstabilized approach you've ever seen in an Airbus. Auto throttle off.
Sync rate.
Potentially salvageable.
Sync
Right
rate.
on that V&E.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull
Yeah,
up.
we're exceeding now.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Oh,
Pull up.
bouncing.
Pull up.
300. We're gonna overshoot the touchdown zone
Sync rate.
just a little bit.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
100.
Pull up.
Flare now.
30. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Come on. Unfreeze. Oh, Nelly. All right. We're down. Reverser's on. I forgot to set the auto brake. Silly me. Auto brake's doing its thing. Oh, a little bit of a jump there. M360 will shut off the thrust reversers. Let the auto brake continue. We'll take this runway exit there. Alright. That is going to do it. Oh yeah, I've got ugly flight sim live traffic enabled. Do away with that. Look at that 787 with those pink textures. Get out of here. So that is going to do it for the Airbus A310. I do hope you guys enjoyed the 40th anniversary series, as well as this video in particular. Frame rates are plummeting, so we're going to close it out here. Thank you very much for watching this video. I do dearly appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one. Until then, as always, take it easy.